So, former Biden chief of staff Ryan Klain getting candid with the GOP lawmakers investigating what insiders knew about Biden's cognitive decline. Klain told them Biden appeared tired and ill at that fateful debate, but they never saw him take Ambien like Hunter Biden claimed. Klain also revealed that Hillary Clinton top advisor Jake Sullivan sounded the alarm on Biden's political viability months before he dropped out. Fox News contributor and GW law professor Jonathan Turley joins us now. Okay, so part of this is, palace intrigue and all that, knowing the backstory there. But from a criminal standpoint, what can they be held liable for?
Well, in terms of the president's conduct, there's really nothing criminal there except for possible lying to federal officials or acts of perjury. So the greatest threat to many of these former officials is that they are going to give false information or misleading information to Congress. That's probably the reason why some of them have pled the fifth. But in terms of the president himself, he's not likely, obviously, facing criminal conduct over his deteriorated state. Also, in terms of White House officials lying about his lack of capacity, that's also not necessarily a crime. It's only when they give false information to Congress, when they give false testimony, that they're looking at a serious potential charge.
So, Professor, I want to get your take on another story, and that's the Epstein files. And it looks like the administration is taking this very serious. When you send the deputy attorney general to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, I think they want full control of this. This is what her brother is saying in a statement. She would be putting before a court material new evidence that was not available to the defense at her 2021 trial, which would have had a significant impact on its outcome. Is she going to get something in return? I mean, there's really no motivation to talk with the feds unless she gets some type of deal. What could that deal be?
Right, Lawrence, that's really the key question here. There is a thing called a 5K 1.1 motion that the Justice Department can file for cooperation to reduce a sentence. That's usually when someone is a key witness in the prosecution of a third party. The defense can also go to a court and ask for a reduction based on new evidence, but we haven't seen that. She was convicted and given 20 years. And so the question is, if there's something there, why haven't they revealed it so far? The third possibility is a commutation, more likely than a pardon, from the president maybe at the end of his term, if she is a highly cooperative witness. So all of those are possibilities for Maxwell. The question is what she has. I was surprised in speaking with a member of the legal defense team a couple days ago when they said that reports that she had been previously interviewed by federal and state prosecutors, investigators, was not true.
What?
That she had never been interviewed. Yes, and despite all of these past investigations in this scandal, I was really taken aback by that. So if that's true, she could be an untapped source of new information. The question is, what is that information? Is it just salacious, or is it something more that would reveal criminal conduct?
Jonathan, this is new information for me, and so forgive me, but how do you prosecute someone without doing an interview? I mean, that's like investigative procedure 101.
Well, they're saying that she had interaction, no doubt, in her own prosecution. But when I asked whether she had sat down with investigators, and there were so many investigations on a state and federal level, and I said, are you saying that she was never called forth to give information either in the state or federal systems? And they said no, that she has largely been left untouched by these past investigations. So the question is, what does she still have? And also, why didn't she reveal it before? She had every motivation in the world, if she could trade something, to do so before she was sentenced to 20 years.
Wow. So part two is going to happen today. The Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, is going to go back to interview her. Now, he said after this interview, he'll decide if they are going to come to the public with the findings of that. So we look forward to hearing that. Jonathan Turley, Professor, thanks so much for joining the program.
Thank you, Lawrence.
What are you hoping Todd Blanche gets out of his meetings with Ghislaine Maxwell?
Well, I don't know about the meeting. I know it's taking place, and he's a fantastic man. He's a great attorney, and people should really focus on how well the country's doing, or they should focus on the fact that Barack Hussein Obama led a coup, or they should focus on the fact that Larry Summers from Harvard, that Bill Clinton, who you know very well, and lots of other friends, really close friends of Jeffrey Summers, should be spoken about. Because, you know, Jeffrey Epstein should be spoken about. And they should speak about them, because they don't talk about them. They talk about me. I have nothing to do with the guy.
Are you considering Ghislaine Maxwell? Are you considering
Easy.
will you do any business deals with the UK?
Yeah, I'm going to meet with the Prime Minister right now. We're going to be over there in about 6 hours. We're meeting with the Prime Minister tonight. We're going to be talking about the trade deal that we made and maybe even improve it.
Are you considering clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell? Are you considering clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell, sir?
I saw homeless people sleeping right outside the gates of the White House. Are you concerned about that?
I think it's terrible, and we'll have them removed immediately. We do remove it. We've got to get the mayor to run this city properly. This city has to be run. You know, I have the right to take it over, and I think it's terrible. Where are they? Where did you see them?
Just right outside on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Near the Treasury.
Right across the Mafia Park near the Treasury. Have you heard about Todd Blanche's interview with Ghislaine Maxwell?
Are you still disappointed in President
Pardon or clemency for Ghislaine?
Well, I don't want to talk about that. What I do want to say is that Todd is a great attorney, but you ought to be speaking about Larry Summers. You ought to be speaking about some of his friends that are hedge fund guys. They're all over the place. You ought to be speaking about Bill Clinton, who went to the island 28 times. I never went to the island.
Do you maintain you did not write a letter for Jeffrey Epstein's birthday?
I don't even know what they're talking about. Now, somebody could have written a letter and used my name, but that's happened a lot. All you have to do is take a look at the dossier, the fake dossier. Everything's fake with that administration. Everything's fake with the Democrats. Take a look at what they just found about the dossier. Everything is fake. They're a bunch of sick people. Where did you see the people laying outside? Exactly?
Right across the street from Lafayette Park, sir, towards 15th.
We'll take care of it.
Are you hoping to meet with President Putin for bringing hostages home? What are the alternative methods to bring hostages home?
Well, we got a lot of them out, and it's I've always said those last 10 or 20 are going to be the toughest, because Hamas knows what happens when they don't have any bargaining chips. And they really broke a deal. They broke a deal, and you're going to have to do what you have to do right now. It's a terrible thing. And I always knew that. I said, when you get down to the last one, they're not going to be able to make a deal.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if she
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
But you wouldn't rule it out, sir?
Why has the dollar fallen so much, and are you concerned about that?
Well, you know, I'm a person that likes a strong dollar, but a weak dollar makes you a hell of a lot more money. Hate to tell you, I don't know if you study it, but I study it. And if you look at the yen,
I went to Penn and worked, so I know this.
you understand.
Absolutely.
Oh, you did go to Penn.
I went to work. Yes,
Well,
sir.
that means you're a smarter guy than I even thought, and I know you're smart. So when we have a strong dollar, one thing happens. It sounds good. But you don't do any tourism. You can't sell tractors. You can't sell trucks. You can't sell anything. It is good for inflation. That's about it. And we have no inflation. We've wiped out inflation. But it's an interesting question. So I will never say I like a low currency, but you remember the battles I had with the yuan, with China and with Japan, Japan being the yen. They always wanted a weak currency. They're trying to get a weak currency now. Now, it doesn't sound good, but you make a hell of a lot more money with a weaker dollar. Not a weak dollar, but a weaker dollar than you do with a strong dollar. And the first people that are going to notice it are the manufacturers of trucks and various other things. Like, look at Caterpillar, how well they're doing now. When you have a strong dollar, you can't sell anything. It's only good for inflation, and it's good psychologically. It makes you feel good. But with that being said, I love strong dollars, but you make your money with a currency. And I had so many different fights with President Xi, between Japan and China. All they want to do is have a weak currency. They're always fighting for a weak currency. And that's how they really dominated over the years. So when I see it down there, I don't lose sleep over it, let's put it that way. In fact, sometimes I go to sleep very happy. You understand? Do you agree with me?
I agree with a lot of what you said, Mr. President. Do you think it makes any easier to impose your tariff with that lower dollar? Because
I think it makes it easier even for tariffs, yeah. And it makes the tariffs worth much more. And it's easier to pay off debt. And it's easier to get a low interest rate, too. There are a lot of good things. It's hard to explain to people. The headline, Trump wants a weak dollar. It's not a weak dollar. You take a look at the history of China over the last 20 years. All they do is fight for a weak currency. Look at Japan when they were really doing well. They had a very weak currency. So to me, I just say, thank you very much. It is what it is.
President, what's your comment on ceasefire? Have you given up on a Gaza ceasefire?
Well, the Gaza situation, and I said this was going to happen when you get down to your last 10 or 20. We got a lot of hostages out. We took them out in numbers that nobody believed, a lot of them. And I said, when you get down to 10 or 20, I don't think Hamas is going to make a deal because that means they have no protection. And basically, that's what happened. Hamas didn't want to make a deal.
Have you seen that photo?
I think what's going to happen is they're going to be hunted down.
Have you seen secondary sanctions sooner on Russia? Are you closer today to secondary sanctions?
We're looking at that whole situation. It could be that we'll have to put secondary sanctions on them.
Sooner than 50 days?
Maybe, yeah.
Do you think it's counterproductive?
Who are you with? Who are you with?
Scripps News.
Oh, good.
Counterproductive to France, for France to say that they would recognize the Palestinian state. Macron said that yesterday.
Look, he's a different kind of a guy. He's okay. He's a team player, pretty much. But here's the good news. What he says doesn't matter. You know, it's not going to change it. Well, he made a statement, France, Macron. His statement doesn't carry any weight. He's a very good guy. I like him, but that statement doesn't carry weight.
How important is a trade deal with the EU?
I would say that we have a 50-50 chance, maybe less than that, but a 50-50 chance of making a deal with the EU. And it'll be a deal where they have to buy down their tariffs, because they're right now at 30%. And they'll have to buy them down, maybe, or they could leave them the way they are. But they want to make a deal very badly. I would have said we have a 25% chance with Japan, and they kept coming back, and we made a deal, and the deal is, don't forget, Japan's putting up $550 billion. It's a lot of money. And also paying tariffs. The biggest part of the Japan deal, and maybe we get this with EU, maybe we don't, is that we have the right to go in and trade. We have the right. They've totally opened Japan to just to the U.S. That's, to me, the biggest part of the deal.
What level of tariff are you looking for,
Nuclear
sir?
disarmament. You said repeatedly you would like to see further nuclear arms reductions between the United States and
I would like
Russia.
to see that.
But the new START treaty is expiring in about 6 months, and it cannot be legally extended.
That's a problem. That's a problem for the world.
Create a new one.
It's a problem for the world. You know, we have restrictions, and they have restrictions, as you know, on nuclear. That's not an agreement you want expiring. We're starting to work on that, but that is a big problem for the world. When you take off nuclear restrictions, that's a big problem for the world.
What level of tariff do you
Mr. President.
I think that Jerome Powell, I think we had a very good meeting. Forgetting about the building, that's out of control and all that. But I think we had a very good meeting on interest rates. And he said to me, now I don't know if he's going to say this on Thursday or whenever he speaks, but he said to me very strongly, the country is doing well. He said, congratulations, the country is doing really well. And I got that to mean that I think he's going to start recommending lower rates.
because of that conversation?
How do you think that the Supreme
The
Court...
country really is doing well, too.
Mr. President, how do you think that...
Record business.
Did you speak to
Wait one second.
Netanyahu?
Thank you, Mr. President. How do you think that the Supreme Court's ruling that benefited you on presidential immunity would apply to former President Barack Obama and what you're accusing him of doing?
It probably helps him a lot. Probably helps him a lot, the immunity ruling. But it doesn't help the people around him at all. But it probably helps him a lot. He's done criminal acts, there's no question about it. But he has immunity, and it probably helps him a lot.
A trade agreement you're looking to sign too.
He owes me big. Obama owes me big.
What are the details in the UK trade agreement you're hoping to find soon with the Prime Minister?
This week we want to talk about certain aspects which is going to be good for both countries. More fine-tuning, and also we're going to do a little celebrating together because, you know, we got along very well. UK's been trying to make a deal with us for like 12 years and haven't been able to do it. We got it done. He's doing a very good job, good Prime Minister, good guy. We really get along very well. So we're going to meet at Turnberry and we're going to meet at Aberdeen. So two beautiful places.
Is there wiggle room in steel and aluminum if they were to budge on digital services tax?
Say it.
Is there any wiggle room on steel and aluminum in exchange for any budge on digital services?
Not a lot, because if I do it for one, I have to do it for all. So on that, steel and aluminum, not a lot.
Mr. President, did you speak to Netanyahu about aid drops?
Sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
Mr. President, did you speak to Netanyahu about allowing aid drops in Gaza from Arab countries?
I speak to him, but I can't tell you what I spoke to him about. But it was sort of disappointing, although I told you. I mean, I told you. When you get down to those last 20 hostages, you get down to that last 10 or 20, it's going to be very hard for Hamas to make a deal because they lose their shield, they lose their cover. We got a lot of them out, a lot of them. We took a lot of bodies out, too. You know, so many of the parents said, please get my son's body back. And we're able to do that. We got a lot of people out, live and people that are not alive. But it was very important to the parents to get their son back, even though they knew their son was dead.
Are you going to be able to get the Open Championship back to Turnberry?
I think they will do that, yeah. They want Turnberry is rated the #1 course in the world. I think they'll do that, yeah.
And are you going to talk to anybody
No,
about
I'm
that?
not going to. It's not about that. I'm going to see it for the first time in years. You were there the last time we went. That's pretty good, right? No, it's the best resort in the world, I think, at Turnberry, and it's one of the greatest courses in the world. We're going to see it. We're going to have, I believe, dinner at Turnberry with the Prime Minister. Then we're going to go to the oil capital of Europe, which is Aberdeen, and we're going to have lunches there. We're going to have a good time. I think the Prime Minister and I get along very well.
And you're going to see the Scottish leader, too, right? Swinney, John Swinney?
I am.
What's that about?
Well, we have a lot of things in Scotland. I have a lot of love. My brother was born in Scotland, and he's a good man. The Scottish leader's a good man, so I look forward to meeting him. That's all set up, right?
Paris Day is exactly 1 week from today, August the 1st. What do you expect between now and next Friday as it relates to your deadline?
When you say tariff, not Paris.
Paris.
Tariff. I think you said Paris Day.
No, Paris Day.
Well, most of the deals are finished right now. They're finished because we're just going to charge a certain tariff. A lower tariff that I could get. I don't want to hurt country. But we're going to send a letter out sometime during the week. And it's basically going to say you're going to pay 10%, you're going to pay 15%, you're going to pay maybe less. I don't know. But Australia was great. They opened up beef yesterday for the first time ever. And they did it. We didn't know about it. We asked them to do it, and all of a sudden we got a word that they wanted. So obviously they're looking to do something. But Australia. So August 1st is going to come, and we will have most of our deals finished, if not all. We haven't really had a lot of luck with Canada. I think Canada could be one where they'll just pay tariffs, not really a negotiation. We're working very diligently with Europe, the EU, which covers a lot of territory, a lot of countries, and that's the big one right now. We have the confines of a deal with China. But we haven't really. We don't have a deal with Canada. We haven't been focused on it.
When you send out those letters, Mr. President, when you send out those letters, do you believe that will bring some certainty to the financial markets? Because then they will know.
No, when those letters go out, they're a page and a half. That means they have a deal. It's done. They pay that tariff, and that is a contract essentially. And they can come into the country. They're going to pay a tariff. I'm going to keep it minimal. I'm going to keep it. I'm not looking to hurt countries. I could do that too, but I'm not looking to do that. But when that letter goes out, that's a deal. And we'll be sending maybe close to 200 of those letters out. Don't forget, we have a lot of countries. So we're going to be sending out almost 200 of those letters. But once those letters go out, there we have a deal. Now, we sent one to Japan, we sent one to EU, and they came back and negotiated a deal. I think EU has got a pretty good chance of making a deal.
With all of that revenue coming in, Mr. President.
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
Our country was a dead country. It was a dead country 1 year ago. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And don't you feel it?
Mr. President, with all of that revenue coming in, tens of billions of dollars, do you think there's the possibility of a rebate to the American public in terms of all of that money?
We're thinking about that, actually. We have so much money coming in, we're thinking about a little rebate, but the big thing we want to do is pay down debt. But we're thinking about a rebate. That's a very good question. You just made a lot of news. We're thinking about a rebate because we have so much money coming in from tariffs that a little rebate for people of a certain income level might be very nice.
Allowing enough humanitarian aid into Gaza. Do you think Israel is allowing enough humanitarian aid?
Well, they have come on, they're being blocked by a lot of people. People don't know this, and we didn't certainly get any acknowledgement or thank you, but we contributed $60 million to food and supplies and everything else. We hope the money gets there because, that money gets taken, the food gets taken. We're going to do more, but we gave a lot of money. We gave a majority of the money, and the sad part is that no other country other than us gives anything.
Have you spoken to Michael Walkley about running for that North Carolina?
I have, yeah.
And will he run, do you think?
I think he will.
There are teacher shortages, so what can be done to get more?
Are you from North Carolina?
My father lives there.
He'll be a good candidate.
What can be done to bring more teachers, more educators into the classroom to alleviate the teacher shortage across the country?
We're doing that, and we're doing it strongly. What we're doing is moving education back to the states. The states will run education. When they do it, you're going to have the best education in the world. We'll have 35 or 40 states where it will be as good as Sweden, Norway, Denmark, the top 5 or 6 countries.
How do you attract the top talent, the top teachers to get into the classroom?
We're going to get them. We already have them. When we go back to the states with education, you're going to see a big difference.
Mr. President, the question is on your policy with Ghislaine Maxwell. Is that on the table?
Interview going on. Todd Blanche is a great gentleman. He's a great man. Who's a great lawyer. He's got a great heart. But he's over there now. I don't know exactly what's happening, but I certainly can't talk about pardons.
Can you trust what she's telling him? She's a convicted trafficker who's eager to get out of prison.
Well, he's a professional lawyer. I think he's been through things like this before. But you should focus on Clinton. You should focus on the president of Harvard. The former president of Harvard. You should focus on some of the hedge fund guys. I'll give you a list. These guys lived with Jeffrey Epstein. I sure as hell didn't. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, should some be part of the plan?
That meeting Sandra just mentioned just wrapped up moments ago. Maxwell was escorted back to the prison from the courthouse in Tallahassee. Her attorney said they had a, quote, productive meeting with Blanche, but details of their talks still remain under wraps right now.
All right, Fox Team coverage is at the ready. Chief legal correspondent Shannon Bream is live here in New York City, standing by with analysis. But first, let's get to our justice correspondent, David Spunt. He's got the latest from Washington for us. So, David, what else did Maxwell's attorney say?
Well, he said a lot. We wish we could be in and hear what was said in the actual meeting. This meeting was a lot shorter than it was yesterday, but this was a 2-day event. The highlight, though, it appears that her team wants a pardon. Watch.
We're going to take one day at a time. I know that's very cliche, but it's true because things are happening so quickly. We haven't spoken to the president or anybody about a pardon just yet. And you know, listen, the president this morning said he had the power to do so. We hope he exercises that power in the right and just way.
But the president leaving the White House today was asked directly about a pardon or commutation of Maxwell's sentence.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if
it's something I haven't thought about? It's really something
recommended.
It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
Sandra, this all happened at the federal courthouse in Tallahassee, not far from where Maxwell is serving a 20-year prison sentence behind bars for trafficking. The DOJ not commenting on the meeting today. Legal experts question whether Maxwell told and will tell her version of the truth going forward, the actual truth. Now, the recent photos we have snapped by Fox News Digital show her on a run at that Tallahassee prison. We're still awaiting decisions from 2 federal judges in New York who will decide if they'll release grand jury transcripts from investigations involving both Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. A Florida judge from another of Epstein's criminal cases says her hands are tied, as anything to do with the grand jury in the American court system is typically kept close and secretive. But he said, when I say he, I'm talking about Maxwell's attorney, he said we haven't reached out to anybody or the president just yet on a pardon. Back to you.
Got it. David Spunt on that live out of Washington for us. Thank you. All right,
Sandra?
Bill, for more on this, let's bring in Shannon Bream now, chief legal correspondent and anchor for Fox News Sunday. Does anything about this surprise you?
No, because, the president can get creative. Different administratives do this, and they have ways. There are, protocols that allow them to take different paths to the same end result they want to get to. I have to say this, though. The attorney who was named by those federal judges to replace Alina Habba and then fired by the DOJ has indicated she plans to show up for work. I don't know if that's still the case, but if you thought that President Trump, Fed Chair Powell meeting was awkward yesterday, I think if that attorney, Desiree Grace, shows up and Alina Habba shows up at the office at the same time, thinking they're doing the same job,
what could go wrong?
Very uncomfortable.
My goodness. I want to get to the latest news on Ghislaine Maxwell and this very productive meeting with the deputy AG, according to their attorney. This is some of President Trump leaving the White House when asked about Maxwell from earlier today. Listen.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if
it's something I haven't thought about. It's really something recommended. It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
Allowed to, but I haven't thought about it. I'll get you to weigh in on that, as we are now being told we've got some brand new video we just turned of Ghislaine Maxwell. I believe this is, leaving the courthouse? Okay, so this is just in. It's obviously not very good. The car's behind the fence. We do our best with what access you can get, but this is brand new video. So anyway, this talk of a pardon, where does all of this go?
I mean, for federal crimes, of course, the president does have a lot of authority to do that. And they say they haven't asked for it yet, but they say we hope he would use that power responsibly if it comes up in this case. But gosh, there's so much else happening with respect to Ghislaine Maxwell. She's got a filing due with the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday because she's appealing her conviction on a number of grounds, primarily the fact that this deal that was made in South Florida with respect to Jeffrey Epstein, that she was also, she thought, protected by that deal. That's her argument with the Supreme Court. So the justices still have to weigh in on this as well. But again, her attorney and both the DOJ seem to think it's been a fruitful conversation the last couple of days. Stunning to hear from her attorney that she says she's never been able to tell her story, that she was never questioned by a federal prosecutor. And to those of us who've been covering this for years, we just assumed that she had been.
So what do you see happening next with all of this? This was the second day of meetings, productive meetings as they're being described. Clearly, we're going to see how this all plays out. Her brother has been speaking and more. I guess what's the next with all this? What are we watching for?
A couple of things. First of all, there's a House subpoena for her now, the House Oversight Committee. So it'll be interesting to see in what format that gets enforced, if we get to hear her answering questions, or what the forum is for that. But also, as David mentioned, there are a couple of courts here in New York, those federal courts, that are replying now to this request from the DOJ that the grand jury transcripts be released. You saw that denied in Florida. It's a different court up here. They may make a different decision, but even if we get those, what will we find? How long will it take for us to go, get them into the public sphere?
Well, I can't tell you how great it is to have you here in New York City, and we'll be watching for you on Fox News Sunday this weekend. Who do you have coming up?
So House Intel Chair Rick Crawford and also Jason Crow, Democrat, on that panel as well, because we're going to talk about all of the records released by DNI Gabbard. The two of them see them very differently, so we'll debate it on Sunday.
A lot of interest in that. We'll be watching for sure. Shannon, great to see you.
You too.
Thank you so much.
Jim Trusty, former DOJ prosecutor and former attorney for President Trump, so you know the inner workings of the president's mind. We just heard from the lawyer representing Ghislaine Maxwell, and clearly she wants a pardon. She wants out of jail. But what do you think Todd Blanche is down there looking for? Are they looking for, you think, exculpatory evidence to remove President Trump from this entire case?
I don't get the impression that that's the main marching order. I mean, I think he's probably genuinely trying to see, is there something that's salvageable? Is there something that could actually still be prosecuted? Is there something that is not already kind of known that she's going to provide that can be corroborated? And look, the bottom line is her attorneys are kind of shooting for the stars and settling for the moon, throwing out pardons and commutations. Nothing wrong with them saying that, but there's a very easy vehicle for DOJ and Todd Blanche to give her some sort of reward. That's called Rule 35 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. It's basically a cooperation safety valve. So if they want to, they can go back to court, bring her back into court, and have this this reconsideration, essentially, hearing based on her cooperation, and they could knock it down a year, 5 years, 15 years. So they don't have to go all the way to pardon or commutation to reward her for some sort of information that they're looking for.
But like David said, I think this is a really important point here. She's not credible. She's a convicted felon. How do you trust anything? How can Todd Blanche or the president trust anything that she says? And let's say she comes up with a list of names that she hands over. How do you trust it?
Yeah, well, Todd's not naive. I know that much. And I can tell you, I sat down with, gang members from MS-13, with mafia members when I was a prosecutor. So you trust but verify. I mean, it's kind of like snake wrestling. You're like, okay, this might work out. So you look for corroboration. You can't just sit there and say, oh, she just gave me a name out of the blue that I'd never heard. You look and you ask, you press, how is it I'm going to be able to prove you're telling me the truth? There's times where you have to walk away because not necessarily knowing they're lying, but just knowing you don't have corroboration. There's other times where you say, hey, this fits. This actually works together where it seems to be the truth and you can do something with it.
I think it'll be interesting to see what Todd Blanche comes back with, because people are having a hard time understanding if the administration wanted to move on from this. The last thing you would do is send your former personal attorney, which you have been, your assistant AG, your deputy AG, down there to sit face-to-face with this convict.
Well, here's the kind of broad concern, contextual concern I have about all this. We're not really used to, as a society, looking into prosecutorial files in cases that never went to trial. That's not the way it's supposed to work, because you embarrass people that never get a chance to vindicate themselves. You give up witnesses, victims. And so this is a weird world where maybe special counsel is the way out. Let them file a report. So.
Yeah. All right, Jim, thanks for joining us.
Sure thing.
What? Yes, I'll be meeting with the EU on Sunday, and we'll be working on a deal. We'll see if we make a deal. Ursula will be here, highly respected woman, so we look forward to that. That'll be good. We'll have numerous executives that we're meeting with. We're going to be meeting with a lot of people. A lot of people will be staying at Turnberry, and then we're going to Aberdeen, which is the oil capital of Europe, actually.
Mr. President, can you explain what is missing in the UK deal that you have to work out?
Nothing. We I think it's more of a celebration than a workout. It's a great deal for both, and we're going to have a meeting on other things other than the deal. The deal is concluded. Well, that's what he does. I mean, that's fine if he does that. That's up to him. It's not up to me. I'm with the United States. I'm not with France.
And the humanitarian situation in Gaza, we hear very dire warnings about.
I think it's terrible what happened with Hamas. They tapped everybody along, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what response Israel has to that. But it's getting to be that time.
There's a
deal. What is left to work out? What are the final sticking points?
I don't know. With the European Union, I think we have a good 50-50 chance. That's a lot.
What are the sticking points? That you
Well,
still
I don't
need
want to tell you what the sticking points are, but the sticking points are having to do with maybe 20 different things. You don't want to listen to all of them. Yes.
What advice are you going to have for our Prime Minister about free speech? It's very important to people here.
Well, it is, but I like your Prime Minister. He's slightly more liberal than I am, as you've probably heard, but he's a good man. He got a trade deal done. And, you know, they've been working on this deal for 12 years. He got it done. It's a good deal. It's a good deal for the UK. So, no, I'll be seeing him tomorrow, I guess, tomorrow evening. And this is our wonderful ambassador, as you know. He's doing a good job. He's a very, very successful man. He'll be doing a good job.
The Royal and Ancient says you're going to have to improve infrastructure at Turnberry to bring the Open back. Is that something you're going to
I don't know. The best course anywhere in the world is Turnberry. The players all want to be at Turnberry. Everybody wants to be at Turnberry, so we'll see how that works out.
The infrastructure needs to be
I think the infrastructure in the course is good. In fact, the Royal and Ancient, I don't know if you're aware of this, they spent a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, or probably into the millions of dollars, and they've laid all the wire for television and for electricity under the holes of Turnberry, so that when the Open gets there, they have it all done. They paid for that.
But we're talking about roads and railway stations.
Well, I don't know. See, I don't know what you can do. All I can tell you is that it would be the best place anywhere in your country to have. There's no place like it. There's no place like Turnberry. It's the best, probably the best course in the world. And I would say Aberdeen is right up there also. Aberdeen's great. And while we're here, I'll be with my son, and he's going to cut a ribbon for the second course at Aberdeen, which is just about equal to the first. I mean, it's going to be a battle. You know, it's, as you know, they're very highly rated. And the second course is great. Sean Connery helped get me the permits. If it weren't for Sean Connery, we wouldn't have those great courses. No, I was never briefed, no.
Did you ask House? What are you hoping Todd Blanche interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell? What are you hoping that they get out of that?
I really have really nothing to say about it. She is being talked to by a very smart man, by a very good man, Todd Blanche. And I don't know anything about the conversation. I haven't really been following it. A lot of people are asking me about pardons. Obviously, this is no time to be talking about pardons. But a lot of people have asked about pardon. This is just not a time to be talking about pardons. Todd will come back with whatever he's got. You're making a very big thing over something that's not a big thing. You should be talking about, if you're going to talk about that, talk about Clinton, talk about the former president of Harvard, talk about all of his friends, talk about the hedge fund guys that were with him all the time. Don't talk about Trump. What you should be talking about is the fact that we have the greatest 6 months in the history of a presidency, according to a lot of people. And we had an amazing 6 months. And this is sort of an example of it. Now we're meeting with the European Union, we're also meeting with, as you know, the head of UK, Prime Minister, and I look forward to that. But we're meeting, in terms of a deal, we're meeting with the European Union, and that would be actually the biggest deal of them all if we make it.
Did you ask House Republican leaders to not vote on the resolution about releasing the files?
I was never involved in that. I'm focused on making deals. I'm not focused on conspiracy theories that you are. I mean, I watch you people. It's so sad. You ought to talk about the success of our country instead of this nonsense you talk about over and over again.
You've done an amazing job on illegal migration in America.
I have.
People here are very worried about the situation. Record numbers.
Well, I say two things to Europe. Stop the windmills. You're ruining your countries. I really mean it. It's so sad. You fly over and you see these windmills all over the place, ruining your beautiful fields and valleys and killing your birds, and if they're stuck in the ocean, ruining your oceans. Stop the windmills. And I mean, there's a couple of things I could say, but on immigration, you better get your act together. Or you're not going to have Europe anymore. You got to get your act together. And we, as you know, last month we had nobody entering our country. Nobody. Shut it down. And we took out a lot of bad people that got there with Biden. Biden was a total stiff. And what he allowed to happen, but you're allowing it to happen to your countries. And you got to stop this horrible invasion that's happening to Europe, many countries in Europe. Some people, some leaders have not let it happen. And they're not getting the proper credit they should. I could name them to you right now, but I'm not going to embarrass the other ones. But stop. This immigration is killing Europe. And the other thing, stop the windmills, killing the beauty of your countries. Thank you very much, everybody.
President Trump is in Scotland tonight. He's beginning a 4-day trip, which will include a meeting with the British Prime Minister and the opening of a new golf course, a Trump golf course, of course. Meantime, the president is claiming former President Obama, quote, owes him big in the Russiagate scandal. And he's once again encouraging reporters to move on from the Jeffrey Epstein story. Senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich is traveling with the president, reports tonight from Edinburgh. Good evening, Jackie.
Good evening, Brett. The White House calls this a working visit, but in many ways it's also a feel-good trip. The president celebrating the opening of his new golf course and the first trade deal he finalized, but issues back home persist.
Obviously, this is no time to be talking about pardons.
President Trump says he has not considered a pardon for Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell, who sat today for a second meeting with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche.
She answered questions about everybody. And she didn't hold anything back.
The DOJ is seeking additional information on crimes against Epstein's victims while holding firm on its decision not to release additional documents. The president, frustrated with continued focus on Epstein.
We're going to talk about that, talk about Clinton, talk about the former president of Harvard, talk about all of his friends, talk about the hedge fund guys that were with him all the time. Don't talk about Trump.
Also denying reports he was told in a briefing this spring that his name is in the Epstein documents.
No, I was never briefed, no.
Trump's focus has been on former President Obama.
He owes me big. Obama owes me big.
Trump acknowledging his own Supreme Court win that grants broad immunity to presidents for official acts would also shield Obama from new allegations leveled by DNI Tulsi Gabbard that Obama officials manipulated intelligence about 2016 Russian election interference to harm Trump.
The immunity ruling. But it doesn't help the people around him at all. But it probably helps him a lot. He's done criminal acts. There's no question about it.
Despite calls from some Republicans for a special counsel in that probe, the White House agreeing with DOJ that it's unnecessary.
There's no conflict of interest in the Trump Justice Department investigating Russiagate. If they want to waste time and go through that again, they can do that. They don't need a special counsel for it.
Trump will remain in Scotland for a week, but the agreement he really wants is back in D.C. After a tense meeting with Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell Thursday.
It's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago.
Trump is willing lower interest rates to fruition.
He said, congratulations, the country is doing really well. And I got that to mean that I think he's going to start recommending lower rates.
White House Deputy Chief of Staff James Blair backed up the president's assessment, telling Fox the administration is optimistic the Fed chair will, quote, do the right thing starting next week. Separately, the president set expectations for an EU trade deal at 50-50 or maybe less, despite a meeting on the agenda, Brett.
Jackie Heinrich traveling with the president in Scotland. Jackie, thanks.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Trump team demands Obama be prosecuted in a whole and conspiracy means Trump's near only is now calling for the Serino elections of former President Barack Obama all time. You are nearly suffered intelligence report. The political pressure is rising fast, and these occurs a massive showdown in Washington. In this video, down what the political report actually saying, and Trump's team believe Obama should be held accountable. Legal reactions and feedback of people, how this will affect 2025.